The name Jascha Heifetz has been for 30 years a golden magnet on the marquees of the music world, from London's Albert Hall to the San Francisco Opera House. A ticket anywhere to a Heifetz concert is no small prize. It must usually be reserved months in advance. For in an exacting field, playing a capricious instrument that only a handful of men in our time have really mastered, Jascha Heifetz is today preeminent. What is the magic that draws this common response wherever Heifetz is heard? It cannot be technical excellence alone, nor the greatness of the music, nor the priceless instrument. The life of the moment is this man who takes two ancient arts in his hands, touches 250 years with his fingers, and makes them sing. What sort of man is he? Too many things set him apart to say an entirely ordinary man, but a man with a strong determination to be himself, knowing that technique without living is sterile. Between concert tours, he lives and rests in California, close to the sun and sea he loves, sails boats, plays tennis and ping pong with his family and friends, works in his garden, tinkers with gadgets, doing each thing with the same graceful precision. That he has time for all this today is perhaps a debt he owes his father, who realized when Jascha was scarcely old enough to hold the fiddle that this boy had the promise of greatness in his hands, the greatness that cannot be taught, and devoted himself to nurturing it. The promise was fulfilled before Heifetz was 13. Fritz Kreisler heard him play and returned saying to his contemporaries, "The rest of us might as well take our fiddles and break them across our knees." So today he practices comparatively little. Comparatively. When he begins his preparations for a concert tour, walks the 15 strides that separate his home from his studio, that separate Jascha Heifetz citizen from Jascha Heifetz virtuoso, he begins a training regime that would shame an athlete. Here in his sanctum, as he calls it, the studio he designed himself, full of gadgets and fittings by which he can control the acoustics of the room, he begins a lonely, disciplined regime. If he has lain fallow for a month or so, he must begin slowly, as a baseball pitcher must begin slowly in the spring, and for the same reason. Perhaps only 10 minutes the first day, for the merciless little steel E string that most violinists use today can draw blood. Months later, he must reach concert pitch, technically and physically. He must literally be as fit as a prize fighter, for during an ordinary hour-and-a-half concert, he may lose as much as 3 pounds without moving out of his tracks. Only when he has reached his peak do actual rehearsals begin. The practice fiddle retires. Out comes one of the two famous instruments that lie side by side in this case. The Stradivarius was built in 1731. The David Guarnerius was built in 1742. The varnish used by these great Italian craftsmen in the fashioning of their violins has been chemically analyzed. The dimensions have been copied to 1/1000th of an inch. But the secret of their tone cannot be unlocked. It is entombed with their makers. Heifetz values them almost above his own life, handles them with the reverence of a man holding an ancient trust. This is the 18th century Guarnerius. Heifetz prefers it for most concert work, even above the Stradivarius, whose tone he feels is less robust, although equally beautiful. When he touches it, finally, with his bow, he has reached the peak of his arduous preparation.